Hi everybody, so what I'm going to be showing you how to do in this video is how to create rocks, such as the ones you see here, for your landscapes. I'm going to show you how to do this two different ways, the first one being drawing and the second one being with paint. So first things first, you're going to want to make a couple oddly shaped rocks. Keep in mind, rocks are not perfectly round. They will be a little bit bumpy around the edges, and just generally they won't be super perfect. So I might have one over on the side here, maybe another one here, or another one there. So the first thing you're going to want to do if you are drawing some rocks is determine where your light source is. So for example, like if you have a sun or a moon, that would be considered your light source. So after you've determined where your light source is, if you look, if the light was shining down over here, that would mean that this side is lighter. So the side away from there, or rather this side here, will have the shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going to block in a little area like this, and I'll start to put in my shadow. Remember, some parts of rocks may have darker areas because the rock surface is not smooth. So I'm adding in a couple smaller, darker areas. If you want to have a more gradual transition, you can always just gradually lighten up your rock. You can also put a couple little blemishes on the top because, like we just said, rocks aren't smooth, so we want to make sure that we are also reflecting that in our rocks. If you want to add a little bit more dimension, you can also take a black. You can take it and you can use that to make your shadows even darker by just layering it right on top. You can also really lightly go over other things if you'd like to kind of gray out your color a little bit. So that's kind of how we can do it with drawing. I don't really like this piece here, so I'm gonna kind of blend that in a little bit more. So that's how we can kind of start to get those rocks done with drawing. Keep in mind, with one like this that's behind it, you're still going to have that shadow, even though it's partially hidden. So if you want to do this with painting, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So for painting, it's going to be pretty similar. We're going to be putting in a value that is light and a value that's a little bit darker. So for mine, I'm going to start out with this sort of blue color, like this. You guys can pick whichever color you'd like. And then you can go for a more posterized effect, which is where you don't really blend in the colors. So if you wanted to just do like another layer like this, and then maybe a layer of black, you could go for an effect like that. Or you could also take it with a little bit of water to blend it in a little bit more gradually. You can do this blending while the paint is still wet. It's one of the advantages of painting is that you can do that. But you do have to be mindful because once it dries, it is there. So just be mindful. I can also take a little bit of black and go right along the bottom there to kind of start to make that pop. And I'll just kind of go back over and blend that up a little bit. If this is too dramatic a transition for you, you can always go back with a lighter blue, and you can always go back in and sort of alter that rock. Personally, if you want a really bright highlight, I like to just leave this part white. If you'd like it to be more gradual, you can always go back in and color that in. I just noticed that if I take white and layer it over the top of my paints, because the paints are not that pigmented, it doesn't layer exactly how I'd like it to layer, which is why I typically like to just leave that as white. So I'm kind of going to do the same thing on this rock over here. And you can either blend that in or leave it a little bit more posterized, which posterized is just a word that I'm using for like stylized, because that particular style would be more almost as if you would see like it on a poster, where everything's a little bit more broken up. And then I would just take a little bit of black and I could go back in to really start to make that rock pop. So that's how you can do rocks with either drawing or painting. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.